It's the year 2050. I will die soon. I'm 85 years old. I would like to give you an account of life, how it was before for my offspring. I'd like them to understand how much the world has changed since. I fondly remember being sent to a milk store with an aluminium can as a child. The milk was pumped out of a big metal container into my can, which I proudly lugged back home. My parents had given me 50 pfennig. Pfennig, the former name of small change, flat little metal discs, and 5 pfennig were left. I used this money to buy myself a lollipop, a small sweet sphere on a stick that you licked on. Once a week a delivery van drove by our street and a farmer got out. He grew vegetables and fruit and bred different animals that were later processed into meat and sausage. He had chickens whose eggs he sold. The farmer with his wooden rattle could be heard from far away. He cried loudly, potatoes, fruit, eggs, sausage. There was very little waste. The bio-waste was brought to the compost in the garden, and twice a month the rubbish collection would come to empty a small metal bin. Paper was collected, bound together with string and picked up 3 times a year. Glass bottles were collected in small wooden boxes and brought to the glass hut where they were recycled into new bottles. On Saturday, you took a bath in the bath tube. A fizzy tablet colored the water green. Then the whole family washed itself one after the other in the tube. The remaining water was used to clean the house. Hair was washed with curd soap. The telephone, which one could talk across great distances, was firmly installed at one place, mostly in the corridor. One phoned only once a week, normally on Saturday, because it was expensive and only got a little less so in the evenings after 7 p.m. One only used the telephone for urgent business or on birthdays for friends or family. There also was a television with 3 programs which showed news and movies from the afternoon until midnight. I was still a child and was glad that the war was already 20 years past. We felt as if we lived in prosperity. In those days, we experienced the 4 seasons. In spring, it slowly became warmer and nature awakened. Then came the summer, the warmest time of the year, the time to go swimming and go on vacation. After that came fall, when leaves became colorful and the harvest was brought in. Wheat, vegetables, fruit from the field. At the end of the year came winter, the cold snow season in which the world around us was coated in hibernation by a thick layer of snowflakes. In 2020, there came the big worldwide crisis. Various factors were to blame. Consumer society, throwaway society, boom of the packaging industry, age of computers, information era, globalization, climate change. Until then, everyone in the rich, privileged countries wanted their comfort. Everyone wanted the possibility to buy everything in a practical packaging, durable and undamaged at any time of the day. Milk, for example, existed in various package sizes. There were no cows on the meadows. Instead, there were first supermarkets, then enormous malls everywhere, accessible to everyone. There one could purchase everything one had previously been led to believe one needed by media or advertisements. Money didn't exist anymore. One paid with a plastic card one held in front of a scanner. That device had contact to the bank and electronically initialized the payment. Fruit and vegetables growed in glass houses in basins made out of synthetic fiber filled with a nourishing solution. The television provided unlimited around-the-clock programs from around the globe. The computer was invented before 1950 and got cross-linked digitally with other computers worldwide via the internet in the following 30 years. In the beginning, one device was as big as a room. Later, it got reduced to the size of a palm. A machine that was connected with the whole world and with which one can do everything. Order things, including clothing, food, trips, and partners. One improved the possibilities of the PC and reduced the size further and further. The telephone was developed in a cell phone, a flexible phone that one can take everywhere one goes to be reachable globally. With the development of the smartphone, the cell phone and the computer melded. People didn't meet up. Instead, they chatted, Skyped, each at his place, mediated by the mobile phone. There were millions of packaged goods for eating, artificial or natural, warm or cold, fresh, durable or frozen. For beauty, for each body part, for health, against each disease, for every kind of pleasure. For this way of life, enormous woods had to be cleared, many trees felled for factories that should produce as cheaply as possible. Oil had to be extracted to produce the plastic for packaging, clothing, and much more. Water became a rare good, while at the same time being diverted to the remotest areas to allow agricultural large-scale production. People possessed a car each, whose combustion engines impulsed its poisonous exhaust fumes into nature. Nature avenged itself. The seasons melded, summer became hotter and hotter, winter colder and colder. There were vast floods, many unpredictable hurricanes, and no woods to withstand the wind. Icebergs melted, many animals and plants were wiped out. The air became worse because of the exhaust fumes of cars and factories. Humans and animals sickened. The extremely increased mass of plastic waste was recycled to worldwide less than 10%. It ended up in the oceans and the stomachs of animals who then perished. And still, the richest and most powerful didn't realize their greed for profit. In 2018, there came a 16-year-old girl, a young woman, the activist Greta Thunberg, who set the ball rolling. She called for immediate measures against climate change at the annual meeting of the World Economic Forum. I want you to act as if our house were on fire. Because it is, the Swede said. It seems money and growth are our only main concerns. But now is the time to speak clearly. Solving the climate crisis is the greatest and most complex challenge that Homo sapiens have ever faced. She instituted Friday as a strike day for school students against climate change, the Unite to Stop Climate Change movement to which people of various ages joined. Europe united only after worldwide extreme natural catastrophes, with hundreds of thousands of dead in Europe alone. Due to global climate change, devastating heat and cold waves were triggered in 2020. It was the zenith of irresponsible consumer and throwaway society. The packaging industry boomed worldwide until the collapse. That is how came the big reversal, the rethinking led by millions of Unite to Stop Climate Change activists. In the whole of Europe, the same laws for food, preservation of nature, trade, tax, basic income, education, free public transport, and fair provision for old age. Today we have a lot less living space than 30 years ago. We possess less things, are very flexible. We pay only with transfers and mutable exchange of goods and services. The social and societal differences have shrunk. Most people are overall happier and more content as previously. The representatives of all countries were pressurized and realized that Greta and her enormous following were right. Little by little, the above-mentioned changes were made. One wanted to be strong against the other world powers. The regional products were traded and Europe relied on an internal market via the railway system. 3 health days per week were instituted on which only fruit and vegetables were eaten. The long years of constant protest acts in which people left all the packaging in the store when leaving finally motivated the providers to change their packaging. That's how we ended up having packaging made of plant fiber that disintegrates via moisture, warmth or cold and can harmlessly be discharged via the sewers. We managed to reduce our waste by 70% in the last 30 years. The procurement of most daily use items occurs digitally via the air, by a drone that brings the order in a glass container and leaves with the cleaned containers. By having all the glass containers traverse an antibacterial wall when arriving at the grocery, cosmetics or cleaning agent store, we can get our glass containers filled up with food, drinks, etc. and get them transported to our home. We owe the elimination of many diseases to a big accomplishment in medicine because one traverses an antiviral and antibacterial scanner at the entrance of every building. With the intense increase of demand for services like upkeep of technical equipment and house calls, there were numerous new workplaces instituted, even if most people work from home now. A compulsory social year for each citizen was introduced to get an insight in the world of care and senior islands and to promote empathy with and for each other. Sunday is now Life Day. All stores are closed. One gets together with 2 people or in groups and exchanges ideas. There's also time to go into nature or the simulation room for clean and air vacation. I too fought for the turn of events, especially by standing up for reducing plastic waste. As a stage designer, I liked the aesthetic of plastic caps of various products that I collected for quite some time. I developed a new game made out of recycling materials. In example, different packaging caps instead of prevalent modular construction toys. Daily I presented photographs of my collection of recycling objects in social networks to appeal to responsible shopping, to point out the problems around reducing waste. That way, I could help synthesize the perception of many people, my followers. Remember that one can achieve a lot when everyone stands united for a cause, even if it takes a long time. It's important not to abandon our goals and ideas and to preserve the achievements, because every vote counts. Today, 2050, we live in a great time. We owe this to the long-standing fight for nature and social justice. To remember this, I preserved relics from back then for you.